In a week filled with M4 Mac announcements, Apple today has officially announced its brand new redesigned Mac Mini. Well, it's redesigned to those who've had a previous Mac Mini, but in a sense, it's just a smaller Mac Studio, but I think it still counts. So taking a quick look at the front of the machine, you can see that it's pretty much got the same design aspect as the Mac Studio, but with a few tweaks. There's two USB-C ports on the front. You don't get an SD card slot, which is a little bit of a bummer, but you do have your LED power light and a 3.5mm headphone jack on the front. The enclosure now measures just 5 by 5 inches and contains a new thermal architecture where air is guided up through the device's foot to different levels of the system, which again is a lot like Apple's Mac Studio. On the back, you have more ports for power, Ethernet, HDMI, and if you spring for the M4 Pro model, you'll get 3 Thunderbolt 5 ports, which is the first time ever on a Mac, and it delivers up to 120 gigabytes per second of data transfer speeds. Now going back to the base M4 model, this comes standard with a 10-core CPU and a 10-core GPU with 16 gigs of RAM as the minimum, along with 256 gigs of storage for that base entry-level model. This can be configured up to 32 gigs of RAM and 2 terabytes of SSD storage. And as I mentioned earlier, there is actually an M4 Pro model, which is our first M4 Pro device, and it starts with 12-core CPU and a 16-core GPU, 24 gigs of RAM, and 512 gigs of storage. But this can be maxed out to 14 cores of CPU and 20 cores of GPU power with 64 gigs of RAM and 8 terabytes of SSD storage. Personally, I think this is the perfect content creator, designer, photographer, coder, etc. machine who want a powerful desktop Mac Studio-like experience, but you don't need all of the extra power of a Max or Ultra chip. So you don't really need a Mac Studio, but I think a base M4 Mac Mini might become a little bit, too little in terms of power. This is that perfect in between. Apple says that the M4 Mac Mini is up to 1.8 times faster in CPU performance and 2.2 times faster in GPU performance than the M1 model from 2020. But with the 20 cores of the M4 Pro's GPU power, Apple says this is twice as powerful as the GPU in the standard M4. Now, both chips bring hardware-accelerated ray tracing to the Mac Mini for the first time alongside a more powerful neural engine, and this is just going to be fantastic for gaming. Now, this wouldn't be an M4 Mac announcement without the mention of Apple Intelligence, and Apple did, of course, showcase some more useful features with the Mac Mini and Apple Intelligence, like writing tools, but this time showcasing how you can easily turn a just typed out document into an easy-to-read table in just a few seconds, using cleanup in photos to remove unwanted distractions, and the new Type to Siri experience where you can ask Siri to accomplish tasks like combining PDFs with the help of step-by-step directions for the Preview app. In the future, when Siri learns more personal context, Apple showcased a very useful scenario when booking travel online, and you can easily insert your passport numbers with the help of Siri. Of course, this part of Apple Intelligence is not yet available, but is a sneak peek into what, things you can expect to do with your Mac Mini and Apple Intelligence and Siri in the future. The M4 and M4 Pro Mac Mini is available for pre-order today with a starting price of $599 for that base M4 and $1399 for the base M4 Pro, with launch set to take place next week on November 8th. Personally, again, I think the base model M4 is still the perfect computer for families, students, just anyone who wants a desktop computer and already has a monitor ready to go, keyboard, mouse, all of that stuff, but just wants to make sure that they're going to have a good device without breaking the bank. $599 is a fantastic entry level for a really good computer with Apple Intelligence now available. And then for those who want the M4 Pro machine, this is quite possibly the new go-to computer for those creatives, designers, 3D modelers, coders, just those who need a strong, powerful machine without having to bump up to the Max or Ultra Mac Studio and break the bank there. Would love to hear from you in the comments down below. What do you think about the new Mac Mini announcement? Its new design, quote unquote, even though it is borrowing a lot of heavy inspiration from the Mac Studio, it's still a completely new design for the Mac Mini. That hasn't really changed a whole lot since it was first introduced way back when, but I would love to hear from you. Are you planning on picking up any of these machines? Let us know in the comments down below. And tomorrow, stick around. We should hopefully, fingers crossed, be getting the new M4 MacBook Pros, M4 Pro, M4 Max. We should be hearing all about those tomorrow, and I'll have a video breaking it down. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss those videos. This is Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you around in the next video.